I'll tell you what, I'm on vacation. I'm having a great time. You know, when you become an adult, and you guys will understand this. You'll understand this, just think from the holidays. Remember the holidays when you were a kid? And mom and dad, they weren't quite as excited, but you couldn't figure out why. Oh my God, I'm counting down the days. I cannot wait. This is so exciting. And whatever your tradition is, probably there's a gift exchange in there when you're a kid, there's some candy, at least within my house. There's a big meal, but your cousins and aunts and uncles were going to come over. Like, whatever your level is, it's probably close to what I just described. But mom and dad weren't as excited. And you couldn't really figure it out. But then you became a mom or dad and you realize this is for the kids. There's a lot of work, there's a lot of effort. My joy doesn't come from the playing. It comes with watching them enjoy. So I'm on a vacation. That's all I'm sharing for. I'm happy to be talking to you guys, but I am understanding, right? Like, took over the head program, Westland High School, a couple of years ago. Coach Sammer said, he stayed on paper, but he said, look, just come in and run the program. It was 1 year, one wrestling season. That's only like 3 months. Guys, I called every coach I ever had and thanked them. I had never thanked a coach before. I called them all once I realized how much goes in to running a team. It was unbelievable. And I'll just share that with you. Like when I'm out here on this vacation, I got the surfs and we got the sand and good foods to eat. This whole. I think back to my parents. Go, gosh, thank you guys. You know, that was probably really hard. Not to mention stressful financially. How am I going to pay for this? And you're out here putting on a good, strong face. Think, man, I really should be home and I should be at work. All right, I bring this to you because I'm having a great time and my trip gets interrupted. It gets interrupted by a phone call. Now, one of my favorite people, one of the smarter, more honest men that I have in my life is a guy named Ryan Parsons. Ryan Parsons is actually a doctor, but he doesn't go by doctor. He doesn't want you to call him doctor. He has his own beliefs on that. He used to own clinics. When he was practicing, you could call him doctor, but now he's a creator, he's a producer, does content. Don't need to call him doctor, but his opinion does matter, particularly on the subject that I'm getting into, because it has to do with Huberman. So I've taken a pretty aggressive stance on Huberman. And I'm bringing his quotes up exactly what he said to the extent that other people who have not heard Huberman say it, they've only heard me say that he said it, have thought I was either kidding or that I was misquoting. Mark Bell and company literally did a show telling the world that Huberman never said those things. He said every single one of them. And it doesn't end there. And I do have a bit of an aggressive gripe in a direction which isn't him. It's in the direction of the snake oil salesman who will tell you to say your prayers, take your vitamins, and exercise, and not tell you the real truth and secret. They will keep the truth and secret from you, and you go eat up your life. You could go waste your life. I mean, then you go and get your favorite baseball players that are doing this every now and again. You guys remember McGuire? I'm going back a long time. I mean, I was in junior high when McGuire mattered. But instead of saying what he did so other kids watching could try to copy that, what coaches he worked with, how he practiced, what it was, what was different. Instead of doing that, he lied. And I don't mind a guy withholding information. Some people say that omission is guilt. Now, in a court of law, that's true, but I don't feel that way, at least as it pertains to this. I do believe the golden rule of if you can't tell the truth, say nothing at all. And I do think of a guy like McGuire who was taking anabolics, but he told us he was taking something else and it was at GNC. Can you guys remember? Remember when he would say that? I raced to GNC. I couldn't drive. I had to wait till my dad got home, talk him into a drive to GNC, hand me the $12. The shelves were empty. McGuire came out, and instead of the anabolics, he talked about something that he took from GNC, sold out like crazy. But that was the problem that I had. He could have remained silent. Could have remained absolutely silent, not spoke on it at all. And so I just take those ideas, and I see what Huberman's doing while trying to claim Stanford, trying to claim a lab, and using big and fancy words. And he's putting things out that I struggle with, I get a call from Ryan. I had made a piece that was nowhere near this polite. It was a lot more aggressive. I had some very specific quotes and some antidotes in a opposite position. I said, hey man, you're gonna get sued. He said, you gotta understand, they're going to sue you. You're coming after a tenured professor who has a lab at Stanford. And even if you think he's a joke, there's other people that do not. You're setting yourself up, I gotta burn the peas. And I understood that. I was okay with that. But I went back and I was watching more Huberman stuff. Because see, I want to be wrong on this. I never do that where you find a guy. I mean, Huberman really is a curious case for me. Most of the people that work in that trade, the supplements, how to up your hormone, they ever even say luteinizing hormone, like that's a kind of guy. If they tell you there's any supplement you can make, whether it costs $1 or $1,000, if they tell you there's something that you could take that will up your growth hormone or up your testosterone, it's a kind of guy, and that guy is shady. That is a guy like me. Truly. It's a guy that did some time. It's a guy that somewhere was taken in a room, had a number put under his chest, and told to smile. One after the next, without fail. And then all of a sudden, he pops up. PhD, doctor, lab, neuroscientist, Stanford. And he's pushing what up until then had only been the ideas of con men like me. You're sitting back, you're trying to figure out why is he doing that? And before we get to the bottom of why he is doing that, I told you a moment ago this entire time, I'd like to be wrong. I'm open to being wrong. I'm a great guy to debate with. Even on the topics they say you should never talk about religion and politics, socioeconomic, all this. I got a degree in sociology. I'm not saying that that's an extremely helpful degree. But on those topics right there, it's specifically what I studied. I'm a scientist. I'm a social scientist. Card carrying, certificate having from the University of Oregon. And I will tell you, I am always willing to change my mind if I'm confronted with evidence I did not previously have. So I'm open to being wrong on this. I watched one of Huberman's pieces today. It pops right up. I mean, it's clickbait. When I tell you this is usually done by shady people, he's got some pretty fancy degrees. He surrounds himself with shady people. They're the ones that are doing his thumbnails. They are the most misleading and dishonest thumbnails in the hormone space, in my opinion. Now, when I tell you I'm open to being wrong, Huberman was on a piece today. He made it 3 months ago. I saw it today. He's talking about some plant, and you can't even pronounce the plant, right? Like all of these guys that have a lab, they're scientists, and they always have some word that you can't pronounce with a whole bunch of syllables. You can never spell it. You can go, what is that? That's one of the things they love. What is that called? Where do you get that? Well, this is just in the East Africa Himalaya. Underneath the rock, it was first discovered by Moses in 14 AD. Like, it's always something stupid like this. And sure enough, it was with him too. But he said that you could up your testosterone 400%. And when I tell you I'm open to being wrong, there's one avenue. Huberman just have to come out, clear this up. Chael never make a piece on him again. Wouldn't have to be threatened with the lawsuits, and you guys wouldn't have to hear me talk about it again. He could clear it up in one way, which would be wildly misleading, but if he copped to that, I'd let him off the hook. Which is on testosterone, you have what's known as a baseline. For simple math, let's call your baseline 200. Okay? If you were to do X, that will go to 204. So now you moved it 4 points. You went from 200 to 204. You moved it 4 points. That will do nothing for it. Just so you understand, testosterone will help your nails grow, make your hair grow. That's before you even get bigger, stronger, faster. Went from 200 to 204 will do nothing that is noticeable. On a bench press, you will not put up 1 pound more. Just trying to make this simple examples for you. So if you then were to take this plant, okay, if you were to then to do that, and instead of going from 200 to 204, you went from 200 to 216. So now you're talking about a discrepancy off of the 200, off of the baseline. Instead of going up 4, it went up 16. And that is where he's getting the quadruple. That would be misleading. That is not what he's ever disclosed to anybody or wants anybody to believe. But if that was what he was going to pull out to defend himself and say, look, there's labs and proof right here, right? If you're at a baseline of 200 and you do what he puts in the headlines, which is quadruple it, you're now at 800. Do you understand that? Do you understand what this means? Okay. The New York Yankees right now would pay Huberman whatever he wants, millions and millions of dollars a month. They would pay him $1 million a week right now if he could make one promise and take our team. They're going to show us anything about baseball, and I do mean nothing. But we're going to do whatever it is you want us to do, and as long as we can pass all the drug tests, no more specific than that. Won't say we're not going to take things. Oh no, we'll take them if we can pass the drug test. And you can take as a group. Okay, we got 80 guys here. But if you can quadruple on average, if you can quadruple their testosterone, we will pay you $1 million a week and we'll fire all the rest of our staff. And that is all that you would need to do. If you could take any baseball team and quadruple their testosterone, they will win the pennant next year. Not maybe. Never practice the game again, ever. 0 times. 0. Just quadruple their testosterone. And the same would go for the Jets and the Raiders and the United States Olympic team. You have a baseline of 200 and you do what he says, which is right in his thumbnail, which is you quadruple it. You now have 800. I had a baseline. A lot of it has to do with what lab you go to, but I had a 330 was the low end and 1100 was the allowable range per the Nevada State Athletic Commission at this time. And I was shooting endogenous testosterone and I was taking a test every single week. I could never touch that 1100. No matter how much I took, I couldn't get there. I never got to 9. I just never did. I could never get that high. And this is taking endogenous testosterone. Under his claims, you could crush those numbers without taking it unless, or he wants to get cute at the end of this, is to explain to us it was numbers coming off the baseline. And I only bring that to you because there's so many people that don't understand what I'm saying at all. But there's so many people that do. People that we respect. Greg and Derek, 100% know what I just said is true. And they haven't come out and they haven't backed Huberman, said that I'm wrong. They've avoided it completely. Now again, I think silence is a lot more appropriate. But for me to get a call and told that I'm going to be sued by a tenured professor for slander. Where'd you get the slander? Did you get that in my tone? Did you get that in the veins pumping out of my neck? Is that where you got that? Because the only thing that you heard me say that other people have laughed at because they thought it was so ridiculous is exact quotes by the good doctor himself,